What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Colin Brandon, and today we are talking about, what the 11 best Big Ten teams need to do to win the Big Ten this year. You know what? I'm not talking about Penn State, Maryland, or Nebraska because, frankly, I'm sorry if you're fans of those teams, but I just don't think that they can get it done this year. It's a rebuilding year, okay? And don't be worried because I think that those teams, for the most part, are in good hands, especially Nebraska and Maryland. I think Hoiberg and I think Turgeon are great coaches, and we'll get those programs back to snuff. But for right now, we're talking about, the top teams in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is deep this year. And so maybe they get 10 teams in. Like, I legitimately see 10 teams getting in. We're talking about the best 11 right now because literally it's still a wide open race. Nobody's getting through the Big Ten without losing a couple of games. Probably, I think 4 losses is what I'm seeing the minimum winner, or 4 losses is what I'm seeing the winner having at minimum. And it could be more than that. I think last year was 6 in that 3-way tie. That's just off the top of my head, so do not quote me on that. Anyways, let's get into it. So one thing each team needs to do, we're going to start with Michigan. We're going in order. Michigan is 4-0 in the Big Ten, and all these records are just Big Ten records. Okay, we're not concerned about outside the Big Ten. But what does Michigan need to do to secure the Big Ten? Besides winning out, like Michigan, they're 4-0. They're best in the Big Ten right now. But they need to show us they can hang with some good teams because we have not yet seen them, play the top tier teams in the Big Ten. We haven't seen them play in Illinois, or Wisconsin, Iowa yet. We haven't seen that. I think their best win right now is Northwestern, in Big Ten wise. And it's a good win. Any win in the Big Ten is a good win. I'm not trying to downplay any of these wins, but I want to see them play some of the better teams. Just so we can know they're legit. And I think that Franz also needs to step up. I think that he can become a beast, and I think that he is just, like, the potential in that guy is just crazy. Like, if he steps up, this team could be the best in, the best team in the Big Ten, easy, if Franz Wagner starts playing to his potential. Yeah, like I said, Michigan, they only beat Penn State by 4, Nebraska by 11, and Maryland by 11. Those, I think, right now are their 3 best wins in the Big Ten. They did destroy Northwestern. I'll give that to them. But those 3 games, like barely beating Nebraska and Maryland by double digits, it's the Big Ten. That type of stuff happens nightly. But, like, Penn State by 4, that's not enough for me to say that this team's completely legit yet. All right, next we're moving on to the second place team in the Big Ten, and that is my Illinois Fighting Illini. Something that they got to do if they want a chance to win the Big Ten is they got to start games strong. At least the past 3 games they played, and it's played them earlier in the season too, is they come out super flat and they let the other team get up to like a huge, maybe like a 5, 6, 10-point lead before the game's really even started. And I think something that could help with that is maybe starting Andre Curbelo, but he's voiced his opinion on that. Like, he likes coming off the bench, so I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. Either way, they need to start off with a little more pep in their step. Maybe a solution would be having like maybe a Red Bull before the games. I'm just messing. They do come out pretty flat and oftentimes let other teams. It happened in the Penn State game, and then I forget the other game. Penn State was the most notable deficit they got out to, but they have definitely got down the Purdue game as well. But yeah, if they can eliminate that and eliminate starting off already, in a hole, they can, I think, be that much better. And it's definitely going to help them against the top tier talent in the Big Ten. All right, next we're talking about Iowa at 3-1. This team is tied for 3rd in the Big Ten. And it's simple. Iowa's got to defend. If Iowa defends at even an average Big Ten standard level, they would be the best team in the Big Ten. But right now, with this defense, they are just leaving the door open to get beat on any given night. Iowa is good. I have never not said that Iowa is good. Iowa is very good. And if they can defend, they are the best team in the Big Ten, hands down. But I think that their lack of defense is going to cost them a chance at the Big Ten. I really do. Anyways, Wisconsin, also 3-1, tied for 3rd. They need to win the close games, okay? And they've won some close ones. But they got to capitalize when other teams go cold. And I understand that there are ebbs and flows of a basketball game. Like, I played basketball as well. Like, I know that, when another team's off rhythm and the game's, all helter-skelter all over the place, it's hard to keep scoring consistently. But, like, a lot of times, if you're looking at, like, the graphs that ESPN puts out, a lot of times their graph matches up perfectly with the other team's graph on when each team's going cold. And that happens, but like this Wisconsin team is a veteran team. Like they're older than Chicago Bulls. And you probably already know that because every single Wisconsin game they mention it. They should be able to score even when the game is helter-skelter and stuff like that. They play phenomenal defense. Defense is not an issue, but they need to capitalize on when the other team is out of rhythm and the game's ugly. They need to be able to score in those ugly moments, and that is going to separate them, create that separation. Because right now, in a couple of their last games, when I think it was the Maryland game, when Maryland went cold, Wisconsin stayed cold right there with them. When if they can get some buckets there, create some separation, they probably don't lose that game. All right, next we are talking about Minnesota. Man, the Gophers are hot. It is not just the Marcus Carr show. Marcus Carr has a supporting cast, and they are playing very well. But something that this team has to do to be able to contend in the Big Ten is they got to keep spreading the love. They got 4 guys in double figures, which is awesome. But they got to shoot better from 3. Right now, they're shooting like ranked 250th from 3, like in the country. Like that's not very good. I believe that the percentage is 30%. It's around 30, maybe a little higher. But either way, not good. If they can bring that up a little bit, this team can be deadly. They play good defense. They spread the ball on offense. And they got a dude by the name of Marcus Carr that absolutely can go get buckets. That dude's like Kemba Walker and can carry that team. If the rest of the team goes cold, Marcus Carr can be a guy that you rely on to go get a bucket. And later on, we're gonna figure out like that is pretty valuable to have as a dude that like when nothing's going right, you just say, "Hey Marcus, just go get a bucket." And more times than not, he probably will. A guy like that is a real asset. Let's talk Rutgers. Okay, Rutgers is 3-2. Make your free throws. Like literally, free throws cost you that Iowa game. I believe the percentage off the top of my head was like 30% against Iowa, 33% maybe. Like that is absurd. College basketball players shooting that poorly from the foul line is absurd. You are ranked. Rutgers is ranked 321st in the nation in free throw percentage, and there's really no excuse for that. Other than that, the only other game that you lost, your big man got in foul trouble, and you blew a 16-point lead. You guys are like this close from being undefeated right now. And this team is a deadly Big Ten team. And if they can do something as simple as fix their free throw shooting woes, they could be the team to beat in the Big Ten. Rutgers is for real. Geo Baker was playing some good basketball. That's good to see. Ron Harper Jr. is a dog. This team has some weapons. Jacob Young. Rutgers is very good, guys. The Big Ten is scary. Anyways, on to Northwestern, okay? Boo Booey's got to step up in big games. We saw that offensively, what he can do against, Michigan State. He dropped 30. Normal guys just don't go out and drop 30. Like, that just doesn't happen. He's a good offensive talent. The dude can get buckets. But against Iowa and against Michigan, he had a combined 2 points. 2 points against Iowa, 0 points against Michigan. Now, against Iowa, he did have 8 dimes and 6 boards. But against Michigan, he didn't do much beyond the 0 points. And they're going to need him in big games. Like, I'm surprised that the games were that close without Boo Booey, he only scored 2 points against Iowa, 0 points against Michigan. Yeah, they lost both of them. They lost to Michigan, won by a fair margin, but like it could have been a lot worse. I think Northwestern's good, and if they can get some production out of him, even at half of what he's capable of, that's going to be enough to keep defenses honest, and enough to probably keep him in games down the stretch and give him a chance to win. And if he can have another 30-point game, I would honestly, probably take Northwestern outright against anybody in the Big Ten, because Boo Booey, when he's hot, he's hot, and they need him to be against better teams, or else they really don't have a chance. All right. On to Ohio State. The Ohio State. I apologize. I think you got to limit Dwayne Washington's shots. I really do. It is not ideal that the dude, and I've said this over and over again, and yeah, his shooting percentage has gone up. He is no longer worst on the team in shooting percentage, but it's still not ideal to have the dude that is leading your team in shots being the guy with one of the worst shooting percentage on the team. That just doesn't work out. The math is not there, people. He shoots free throws at an elite percentage, going to the rim. I mean, that's probably also what gets him in trouble, is that He's trying to draw too many fouls. And I don't know this for a fact. I'm just saying this off the top of my head, but this could be a culprit of why he's trying to draw too many fouls. He's trying to take bad shots, and a lot of things could lead to that. But his shooting percentage is pretty poor, and he does take a lot of shots. And I think they need to figure it out because they got other good offensive options. And figuring that out is going to be key for Ohio State's success because Ohio State could be pretty good. They really could. And then Indiana. Indiana is a team that is so confusing. They play great defense, but offensively, sometimes they just look lost. They need to find an offensive identity. And I don't know if that's getting Christian Lander more minutes because I believe that dude can be a good offensive weapon, and I think you Hoosier fans could too. And so let me know, Hoosier fans, what do you think is wrong with Indiana? They need to figure out something offensively for sure because that is really hurting them right now. You're not going to be able to win games by playing games in the 60s in the Big Ten. That's just not going to happen. The Big Ten is too good. Not many games are going to be in the 60s. And Indiana's going to struggle to win those games that are out of the 60s just because their offensive system is not as good. And they have talent. So I don't know if it's Archie or what, but I think it might start with getting Christian Lander some more minutes because, if you're going to lose games, you may as well lose them. You may as well lose them trying to win them. Christian Lander, he's only getting a couple minutes in the past 3 Big Ten games. And that's not enough time to get in a rhythm and really get something going. And so it's just unfortunate. I believe the rookies, they got to take their licks. They're going to have bad performances, but they're not going to get any better if you don't play them. And so I would love to see Christian Lander get some more minutes because I think that could really help maybe be an offensive spark, at least provide another weapon out there that could get you a bucket. All right, now on to Michigan State. Michigan State is literally the exact opposite of Indiana, where they offensively are fine, but defensively they really struggle. They're one of the worst Big Ten defenses this year, which is kind of shocking because usually Tom Izzo, has a hard-nosed defensive team, and they just don't this year. And so they gotta figure out that identity. And it looks like it's starting to come together. They gotta win over Nebraska, and I know Nebraska's not great, but a win is a win in the Big Ten. So maybe they get things going together soon. They got some solid athletes, especially big-wise, and I think Aaron Henry can be a pretty good defender. Foster Lawyer sometimes a little suspect, but I think Rocket Watts can develop into a good defender as well. So I think they'll fix that and finish fine. Off to a rough start, but I think they'll be okay. And lastly, we're going to talk about Purdue. Purdue is 2-3. So they actually should be ranked above. They should be ranked, tied with Ohio State. I just forgot about them until later and put them at the bottom of the list. So I apologize for that. They got to score more against better Big Ten teams. That's what this team's got to do, okay? This Purdue team has potential to be really good offensively, but they don't have a guy that's just going to go out and get you a bucket. If this team had Carson Edwards, okay, that's really easy to say that this, because any team would be a lot better if Carson Edwards was on it, right? But they don't have a dude like that that's just going to go and ball out. Stefanovic, he's good offensively. Trevion Williams is good offensively, but bigs aren't usually guys, especially in this landscape of the Big Ten where there's a lot of really good bigs. They're not necessarily the best option to go get you a bucket. Now, maybe they could develop a guy down the road, but right now they just don't have it, and they're going to need to have a guy that can go. If Marcus Carr was on Purdue, Purdue would probably be, they would be one of the best teams in the Big Ten. But again, easy to say because Marcus Carr's a dog. Either way, they need to find a solution to super stagnant periods of time where they just can't score. They just don't have a guy that's just going to be like, what, I'm just going to go get it done. They don't have that. If they can find that though, this Purdue team could be pretty decent and probably make the tournament if they figure something out like that. Right now, I think that Purdue, might be the only team on this list that's out of the tournament. Or that would be on the bubble. Maybe Indiana's on the bubble too, but I think that they can figure it out. Purdue can figure it out too, honestly. Other than that, though, I think that legit 9 or 10 teams from the Big Ten are going to make the tournament. Wisconsin's still my pick to win the Big Ten. I think that Michigan very well could. Illinois could. I think it's really between those 3 teams. Rutgers as well. And yeah, Iowa fans, I'll throw Iowa in there. really see Iowa's defense being so suspect that it's going to cost them because, Iowa is the number one rated offense in college basketball, but their defense is darn near 100th. That's a pretty big gap. Whereas like teams like Wisconsin are pretty good. They have very good offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. Balanced teams like that, I think, are going to be the teams that win the Big Ten, and that's why I like Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and Rutgers to be one of those teams that does it. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. I appreciate you guys staying this long. Like, subscribe, and if you're here from TikTok, I appreciate you so much. And drop that you're here from TikTok. I love to see you guys on here. Until next time, adios.